The Apostle Paul wrote his letter to the church in Galatia to rescue them. Jesus Christ had set them free from spiritual slavery, but they were choosing to become slaves again. They were subjecting themselves to rules and principles that people were laying on them, and in so doing they were throwing away the freedom that they'd been given in the Holy Spirit. And this shift had changed them dramatically. It had stolen their joy, their power, and above all, their love. The shift was so dramatic that Paul doesn't just say they've been deceived or tricked by these people, but he says they've been bewitched. They've become focused on working to live a picture-perfect life, complying with the rules they're being given, rather than living lives of faith and love. And Paul illustrates this powerfully by describing the fact that it was because he had a bodily ailment, he was weak, he was sick, that he first preached the gospel to them, and that they didn't despise him in that place of weakness, but they loved him. How things have changed. So now he wants to get them back on track. He wants to bring them back to the place where they understand that the only thing that matters is faith, working through love. And one of the tools that Paul uses on his rescue mission is to talk about revelation. God revealing himself directly to people. Paul makes clear that this is how he himself received the good news, the gospel that he now preaches. God revealed it to him. And it's how the Galatians themselves received the gospel. Jesus Christ was publicly portrayed as crucified before them. In other words, God made the reality of the death and resurrection of Christ so clear to them in their hearts. And this brought about their salvation. God is unchanged. He has always spoken to people in a million different ways, directly, and he continues to do so. So Paul uses this tool to try to help the Galatians to escape the bewitchment that they've fallen under and get back to a place where they're living lives with the only things that matter, i.e. faith, working through love. Throughout the letter, Paul is very direct. He's very passionate. He's very zealous. He's angry that God's children have become slaves again. This is Paul who, before his conversion, breathed out murderous threats against God's people. But now we're seeing that same zeal that he used to persecute the church being used to set the church free. Passion and zeal, when they're on the right foundation, are good and should never be apologized for. And in this case, in this letter to the Galatians, Paul is employing all of his powers, with all of his passion, to encourage the Galatians to get back to the place where they simply enjoy God and love others.